Hey guys, Looney here, and back with Friendsim 2. You might be wondering, why am I not continuing with the Salvation run? And the main reason with that is just because I'm having some issues getting through the door of the basement. And honestly, I don't know if it's a computer issue or a game issue, but I figured having it run on this computer and me actually getting up to that point, seeing if it runs on this computer, then I'll actually know, hey, then I know it's a game issue and not a computer issue. If it runs just fine on this computer, then I know it's a computer issue. But we'll just have to see now, won't we? Yeah. So you can see a few programs and icons in the background. It's all just some kind of word processing program and some kind of vital track, but none of it you can open or look at. And then you walk into the bridge of the ship and you're immediately struck by how quiet it is. You expect a spaceship to have kinds of humming gizmos and whatnot all over the place, but it's mostly just a few trolls sitting in silence and tapping on their screens. And of course, a very sullen-looking Gallic standing in the middle of the bridge, staring at the screen of the stars.
I hope that your investigation is going well. Even if I find your motivations to be misguided, I trust that the process will uncover the deeper truth behind the matter.
Investigation going well, although from the look of your face, when I say that, perhaps not so much. And be misguided, some great revelations spring from a place of misguided optimism after all, and deeper truth of the matter. The truth, of course, being that I had been betrayed by my own Keysmises and insulted in such a way that still stings quite a bit. You shrug. You haven't really made a lot of progress yet, but you're wondering if you could maybe ask Gallic some questions. In an official investigation capacity, you mean. Gallic chuckles, although it's not really a sound that actually suggests any kind of humor.
You've been talking to the Legislacerator, huh?
Tezros? No, not yet.
Very well. I will endeavor to answer what questions I can in a straightforward and honest manner. I cannot promise I will be especially helpful, but I will try.
Does he have anything that would be helpful to know?
Personally? That's a bit of a vague question, and not especially helpful to whatever it is you're playing at here.
Not to appear dismissive about your efforts, but clearly you have a limited at best understanding of Antirian's legal systems. By having spent several pedigrees on planet 1 point, honestly, I'm completely baffled as to how you managed to even survive for so long.
I suppose if you were to want an additional perspective on the matter, I would suggest you seek out the Tealbloods on this ship, who aren't murderers. I believe Miss Entik and Miss Sezyat are on the observation deck. You are also welcome to investigate the crime scene directly, of course.
He really thinks Tekora killed someone, doesn't he?
Why wouldn't I? All evidence that exists points to it as an inescapable conclusion.
All evidence? Tagora's proximity to the site of the murder, his suspicious behavior, his general demeanor lately, and some of the elements I don't feel comfortable disclosing to you. Inescapable conclusion, as much as I hate to admit it. Okay, but suppose for a second maybe he didn't actually do it. Wouldn't Gallic just feel completely awful if he were to kill his own Kismesis over a misunderstanding? Gallic shrugs and frowns at you.
I suppose you have a point, which is why I'm even indulging this foolishness of yours in the first place. Honestly, if I were holding to the simple letter of Alternian law, he would already be dead.
You should investigate the ship thoroughly and talk to everyone who was involved. So I was already at the office, so let's go to the observation deck.
But how can you be sure?
There's no way he could have killed that troll. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, it's you!
Hey, so you're really going through with this, huh?
Yes I am. You're not enthusiastically, although you have to admit that a lot of that is a very fake until you make it, and not so much genuine enthusiasm, so Tezra seems to take it well enough.
Sure you are. I suppose you're going around asking everyone questions now, right?
Can't they just ask the ghosts who killed them? You seem to recall trolls having ghosts. That was a thing, right? Troll ghosts? You're nearly 100% sure that was a thing. So why can't you just ask the ghosts who killed them? Simple, right?
Well, it's a little more complicated than that. For one thing, non-corporeal testimony has been banned in trials for 50 sweeps due to the possibility of bias. Also, we're not entirely sure what creates these ghosts, but they're not always present and require a certain kind of psychic to be able to talk to.
And we haven't seen any evidence of a ghost here.
Oh, well, that kind of sucks. That you can't even ask what happens.
Yep.
But wait, just out of curiosity, what happens if there is a ghost? Wouldn't they be pretty angry about what happened to them? Do big spaceships and stuff just have hundreds of pissed off spirits everywhere?
Oh, don't worry. They have people for that.
She really doesn't think he did, does she?
Not that it matters much to anyone, but no. Not that I can prove anything right now.
You explain that on your plan, the person accused of a crime is usually considered innocent until the guilt can actually be proven.
That sounds nice.
Of course, in reality, this almost never the case, and conviction rates are extremely high. If someone's accused of a crime, they're often going to be found guilty or agree that they're guilty in order to avoid long, expensive, and humiliating trials.
So, basically what we've got here?
Yep, no giant monster to eat the accused, though.
Oh, we're phasing out the giant monster lately. Except in especially important cases. The whole thing was such a production, and there aren't many of them hatched anymore.
Important cases?
You know, like beetle theft. Why, just last Perigee we had a case involving the Legicorpus High Senate, and... oh goodness, never mind. If you get me started on this, I'll never stop.
But I want to know...
Anything less, and you're just likely to get shot in the head at the end of things.
Oh, well, that does sound pretty bad.
Glad to see your talent for stating the obvious has remained intact since we last talked.
So, you have no idea what to do.
That's pretty obvious.
ZZ! Don't be so negative. Our friend here is just trying to help.
Fine. Have you tried actually looking around for evidence?
Oh, kind of. You have to admit that you're pretty new to this whole legislator thing.
If I were in your position, I'd start by searching the master respite block. I'd be willing to bet you find something worthwhile.
How could you even get in there? You can't just imagine that Gallic just leaves the door unlocked.
So how'd you get into the office where Tagore is locked up then?
Oh yeah, Gallic gave you access to the ship's computer, and well, it extends to the rest block as well. Maybe it extends to the rest block as well. You can get in there and investigate. But wait, how did Tessera know you've been in the office? Instead of responding, she just taps her nose and smiles at you. I should also check out the bridge, in case there's any evidence around here. Nope, doesn't look like it. Let's check out the airlock first. Okay, this is it. This is where the horrible murder happened. This is really the part where you put on your big person gloves and really... No, heck, you can't do this right now. Well, this whole scene seems really important, like, vitally, so you can't do this right now. Baby steps. Maybe later. Why would they even be later? You can prove Tagora's innocence and this whole thing would just solve itself. So this definitely feels possible. So let's see here. Not making that mistake twice. Next time you mess with something like that, be under appropriate supervision. Not some kind of forensic expert, but you can see a lot of blood here. So much blood, basically everywhere. Honestly, it's hard to tell what kind of person was killed, but it looks like maybe some kind of wound to the neck. You wish you had literally any experience investigating anything. In fact, it's hitting you fully how woefully unqualified you are for any of this. All of this stuff should seem so important, but you can't just right now. Your stomach is turning and you can't barely hold it together. It's probably another way to clear Tagore's name. Maybe you won't have to deal with any of this stuff at all. And doesn't look like there's anything else to look at. So let's go to the master rest block. Really wish you could take a seat right now. This whole process is exhausting, but you got things to do and innocent teal blood to exonerate. So let's see here, the bed. Vespercoon looks like a giant she-shot, which you guess it would be the Artanian equivalent of some kind of palace of Versailles thing. It's very fancy and a bit much for your taste, honestly. Off to the side, it looks like there's a door leading back to the shower room. Weird. You don't think you saw one in Tizer's room. Tizzer and Stella's room earlier. Even having a chance to look around a bit while you were talking to Tizzer and Stella, you don't even remember seeing one at all. Weird. Surely not relevant to anything in the near future. At first glance, this looks like a standard bedside table, but there's a cleverly concealed drawer in the side of it. You shuffle around the drawer, mostly because experience has taught you that often where people keep the most important papers that they don't necessarily want other people to see. But that doesn't matter because you got a mission here. It's a couple of minutes, you find something promising. It looks like a couple of legal documents, and absolutely covered in footnotes and annotated. On closer inspection, seem to be some kind of hate marriage contract. But just hold on to this for later. I think that's everything. So let's go to the observation deck. Found these records. Tazira smiles softly, and she knows exactly what you're going to say before you left her mouth.
Well, that's a good start.
Except you don't have any idea what to actually do with this information. You just get the feeling that you're pulling on the thread, but then it just gets caught in something that you can't figure out what.
So keep pulling. Go find someone who might know about those records.
That does seem like a pretty straightforward and simple solution to the problem, yeah.
Sometimes the solutions are simple. Not everything has to be some complex game of chess.
Oh, they have chess on the here? Maybe your words aren't so different after all.
Oh, sure. It's a little bloody sometimes, but you know how it is.
Not really. You think that this might be one of those cultural misunderstandings you heard so much about? So let's see here. Let's go to, I guess, to the office first. Nope. I guess to the observation deck. Nope. Wait, no. I need to go to bridge. Found this hate marriage documents. Galec's eyes grow wide and he stammers before quickly regaining his composure.
How did you even... Oh, of course. The access I provided for the office also allowed you into my private quarters.
Private quarters. No. Wait, no, I can't. Can't go back to see what he said about that. You really good at investigation. In fact, you learn some of the best business. A regular problem sleuth, that's you. Galek shakes his head and takes documents from you and looks them over quickly before handing back.
You need to understand that nothing in here is especially unusual or untoward on my part. Pretty standard for those seeking to formalize their quadrants.
Untoward on my part? Or if you don't take me for some kind of boorish fool on account of my desire to ensure my own legal safety. Formalize the quadrant. Similar contract might be drawn up for a mate spread or long-term more allegiance. Not really sure if you fully believe him. You don't know much about contracts or the Tyrian legal system, but it seems like there's some very one-sided language here about the harsh consequences for Tagora.
Fine. I suppose you're not going to leave me alone about this. I suspected that Tagora was pitched with someone else.
Okay, but why?
Just a feeling I got. And then he's been getting increasingly distant from me lately. Especially the last couple days.
Ever since we started making preparations to formalize our Christmas issue, as a matter of fact.
I suspect that this has something to do with this sudden turn for the murderess.
You think that this seems like a bit of stretch, even by some of the convoluted logic you've run into lately, but you refrain from saying anything. You should probably see what Tagora has to say about this. So let's go to office. Galek thinks he might be cheating on him. Tagora actually looks genuinely tickled by this. He tosses his head back and laughs in that weird, grating way he has.
Cheating on him? Oh, that's fucking rich.
So now?
Of course I'm not cheating on him. Why the hell would I do that?
Stuck in a hateless relationship?
You should really stop talking so much. You know that, right?
Actually, not the first time you heard that.
Oh, I can't imagine why. In any case, no, I'm not fucking cheating on him. I might be morally flexible in a lot of ways, but I take my quadrant seriously.
Okay, cool. So, about the whole about to be killed by his kisses because of the murder he claims he did commit there.
Fine. You want to know what I was doing down by the cargo bay? I was talking to Tisius. More specifically, I was trying to find a spot where I could talk without Galek potentially seeing.
Wait a minute, didn't you just say that he took his quadrant seriously?
Idiot. It wasn't a quadrant thing. God, I don't feel that way about her. I needed her advice on something. Specifically, I think Galek might have added a few conditions to our hate marriage contract.
Conditions? What does that mean?
It means I don't know what it means. I never got a good look at the document, and he hid it away somewhere.
Oh, that's convenient. You just happen to have that document with you. Tagora quickly grabs the papers from you and looks them over, frowning himself.
This is about what I expected. I was hoping Tizius might be able to find a way to legally nullify whatever language he put in there. He might be a high blood, but I don't want to be in a relationship where I don't have the upper hand.
Okay, this is starting to finally get interesting. Of course, it sure would be nice if Tagora had literally any proof of what you're saying as far as his conversation with Tizius.
The best I can do is this.
He hands you his palm husks, okay? Thanks, but what are you supposed to do with this?
It's a Legis Corpus palm husk, you grub-brained idiot. There's an investigative module installed that tracks evidence you gather, including my conversation with Tizius.
Why not just let you log into his account? And see the messages directly through? Surely this whole mess log thing is an overly cumbersome way to... never mind, he's letting you again.
I'm not letting you see all of my private conversations. There's some highly compromising photographs in there.
Yeah, you're actually good with doing things this way. Sometimes a little bit of gameplay conceit is good for you. Helps keep you on your toes and all that.
Anyway, you'll figure it out. And don't worry about giving the palm husk back. I've got a bunch of them. Consider it an investment, if you will. A gesture of good faith that you'll get me the fuck out of this.
You know what? You're not actually going to pursue that line of inquiry any further. He's right, you'll figure this out. Let's see here. So, got Jixie, blah 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 blah, which I already... Obviously, I already talked to all of this for multiple things. But I'm just gonna kind of just briefly just go over these. Obviously, some things I can say, but basically they're just like chat logs. So as you go down, it goes later in. Okay, so Tizius and Togora's chat log. So Gorgor starts it off. Do you have a minute? I need to talk to you. Fine. What is it, Torgor? I think that Gallic might be trying to screw me. I thought that was actually the desired outcome here. Oh, shut the heck up. I mean, in our Kismesis agreement. A completely normal and not weird thing to have, by the way. Again, shut the heck up. I think Gallic might be trying to put some language in the contract to try and mess with me. I don't know for sure because I don't have it in hand, but I did manage to get a look at it while he was drafting it. Point being, I'm not sure if I want to go through with this. Do I hate him? Of course. Do I be his dismissive? Of course. But I'm convinced he's trying to pull some stupid crap that I don't want to deal with that. Surely you can understand you and Sills have been together forever. So help me out. Help me figure out how to get this jerk I loathe so dearly to stop being like this. Tezris? Oh, fuck you, I guess. Sorry, Sorga. I got thinking about a couple things. I can't do this right now, but I promise if you wait an hour, I'll take a look. Just see here. Choose in this agreement. The law language that you understand, basically equivalent of a prenuptial agreement. Kismesis, number of annotations and footnotes that feel pretty one-sided as far as ability to dictate to go it does without the same being tuned in the other direction. Sidetrack, but sounds important, locked computer. Who are those being suspicious? Let's find Galaxy hating. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so let's go to the observation deck once more. Tagora told you about the conversation. Tazera frowns and shakes her head slightly. Next to her, Stella starts to look worried.
Zizi, what conversation are they talking about?
It's nothing. It wasn't anything, okay?
Well, that's a big deal. You're just gonna give Tagora some basic legal advice on nullifying his hate marriage contract? Stella's eyes go wide and she turns to look at Tuesday with an expression growing peace.
Is that true? Were you getting involved in a Kismesis dispute with an Indigo blood? A member of the Alternian Intelligence Service, no less!
AIS.
Zizi, is this some kind of Ashen Quadrant thing?
No, I'm not interested in playing auspices between him and anyone.
Well, that's even worse! Why would you get in between them like that? You could end up in the same position as Tagora.
Tazera sighs and looks away, and you think that you see something in her eyes that she's not telling Sessa. Something that doesn't have anything to do with Tagora or Gallic. Not exactly anything.
It was the right thing to do, okay? That's all.
Sessa doesn't seem satisfied with this. She gives Tazera we'll talk about this look, but doesn't say anything else. Okay, this is getting really awkward. You have a feeling that you should maybe not be here anymore. Like, you specifically should not be in this specific place trying to insert yourself into this specific conversation and should maybe literally do anything else. So, I don't think I need to do that. So, I need to go to the bridge. Tagara wasn't pitched for someone else. Garlic narrows his eyes at you and shakes his head slowly. He has that kind of look of, yeah, I don't really believe you look to him.
Really now? I find that extremely unlikely, given his secretive behavior lately.
You explained that Tagara found out about the hate marriage contract and felt like it was unfair to him, so he was trying to figure out a way to nullify the contract. He was messaging to Tezris around the time of the murder.
Patently absurd. The only reason I made the contract in the first place was because of Tagara. He's clearly involved in something. I'm just not sure what. I have to protect myself.
Okay, but something really isn't adding up.
I have no idea what you mean. It's clear as night that when Tagara and I had our little...
Gallic trails off as if he was about to mention something potentially embarrassing. You ask him, but what does he mean exactly? Gallic flushes a deep blue.
Tagara and I got into a small dispute shortly before the murder. He said some things about not being able to trust me, and I may have responded poorly.
So trusting him? He didn't specifically mention the document which you have now in your possession. However, his knowledge of its specific existence is news to me. Responded poorly. Specifically, I told him that he was going to be unfaithful jerk. I wanted nothing to do with him. Tagara didn't mention that before, and I suppose he probably didn't want to talk about it, but it sounds like a lot on his mind in general. If you can pull all together, maybe there's a chance they can show Tagara actually didn't kill anyone. Gathered enough evidence to prove your case to Gallic. Click the start trial with option to begin. Let's start the trial. Gallic has the cargo bay turned into a makeshift courtroom just for the purposes of the trial. It is a little bit weird to be conducting the trial mere feet away for the purpose of the trial of his. It is a little bit weird to be conducting the trial mere feet away from the still warm body of the victim. Yeah, you know what it really is.
Well, now that everyone is assembled, I will be taking on the role of Chief Persecutor for the duration of the trial, given we don't have a tyranny or council for...
Something inside you feels strange when you hear a word council. Some kind of strange attached feeling. A memory you haven't had yet, maybe? Gallic gets a one look on your face and frowns.
Will you be quite able to conduct your duties?
Yeah, you're a little bit unclear on what those duties are exactly. Next to you, Tezra sighs loudly.
Normally, a trial consists of a persecutor who presents the case and a respondent who's basically there to look stupid while the accused is found guilty.
You aren't going to sugarcoat it. This sounds like a bad system.
Yeah, no shit. It's all for show, of course. Don't worry. I'll help you run through this, okay?
Okay, you got this. You're pretty sure you've done this before, maybe? Honestly, you can't even remember that it was you or for someone else. You got this feeling, kind of fleeting memory of another trial, but it doesn't feel real. This is not really the time for an existential crisis.
Very well. We will begin. I will present the Empire's case in this matter, and then you will be able to respond. I think it's clear enough what happened here. My Kismesis here was involved in black solicitations with someone else. He was always acting in a secretive manner, hiding his pitch affair from me. I never thought it would extend to murder, and yet here we are.
Look, some of the stuff he's saying doesn't make sense. You should press him on it to uncover inconsistencies, and then you can show evidence that pokes holes in his story. Just be careful. If you show a bunch of random shit, you'll end up pissing him off. But don't worry about asking for more information. The only way that'll hurt you is if you keep pushing the issue again and again.
You know, this makes sense. You get ready to go back over Gallic's and really get in there, really get up to the elbows and stuff. Actually, wait, no, that sounds really gross. You're just gonna do legislative stuff. So, involved in black solicitations and someone else. Press. Objection! But wait a minute, you said that that's not the whole story, is it? Wondered, does Gallic have any actual proof that Tagora wasn't being faithful to him? Surely someone as confident in his own intellect as Gallic is would lead to any conclusions.
Very well, you make a good point. Let me revise my earlier statement. I suspect my Kismesis was involved with someone else, given how distant he'd become lately.
Yeah. No other explanation is where he's acting toward me. So he's acting in secret of matting, having a price affair of me.
Objection!
But wait a minute, you just said that's not the story, is it? But what if...
Stop being so obtuse. You know very well that there's no reason for his strange behavior other than infidelity. I believe it was a pitch affair because what other reason would he have to act distant towards me?
Another section. So I think I need to press the... Present Tagora's statement.
Take that!
Well, what do you think of this?
I don't see what
Okay. What about the...
Take that!
What do you think of this? But wait, you say in a very snappy, very confident manner. There's another reason why Tagora might have been acting a little bit suspiciously.
Oh? I'd love to hear it.
But he already knows the reason. You pull out the copy of the Kismesis agreement with all of Gallic's annotations on it and smile confidently. His face falters for a second.
Objection!
But what possible relevance does this have to the situation? As I previously pointed out, that contract is quite standard among pitchmates. Unless you have something else to suggest, some meaning I've failed to derive.
It would be the... I guess it would be the chat log?
Completely.
Okay, it would be Tagora's statement.
Completely.
Gallic's statement. The evidence is right here in his own words. The argument that he had with Tagora earlier. Obviously, Gallic didn't think... Tagora didn't think that the contract was your standard.
You're goddamn right I didn't.
Very well. I'll admit that Tagora might have had some legitimate reason to be upset.
Referring back to the argument Tagora and I had, which had been entered in evidence.
You bulge-sucking pile of... You were trying to treat me like some kind of pet.
That is essentially incorrect. Besides, it doesn't matter what his feelings were because Tagora was still in the area at the time of the murder. He had plenty of opportunity to commit the murder and cover his tracks. As much as I hate it, I don't see any evidence to the contrary.
Something's still not right. If you can figure out where the contradiction is, maybe we can actually convince him that Gorgor's innocent.
Press.
Objection!
About the placement. There's something Essie isn't saying, isn't there? Wait a minute. How does Gallic know exactly what time the murder was committed? Because that certain's pretty sure. Gallic actually stammers. Well, you don't think that you've seen him lose composure like this in a while.
Well, the thing about that is...
He sighs and shrugs.
I suppose there's no harm in it. All of the ship's personnel are equipped with an implanted biomonitoring system known as Vital Track. It allows me to record their vital signs down to the minute. Here, I'll provide you with the record for our poor maintenance worker. Based on the information I have on hand from the monitoring system, the time of death was around the same time that Tagora was seen in the area.
Evidence. So the fire check. So time of death, Attorney Universal Time cause of death, blood loss, heart failure. And the chat, so that's 1434. And he was talking at this time. Okay, I'm just gonna press
Objection!
something else. Maybe it takes a bit more than a few minutes to commit a brutal murder and then hide the signs that you committed a brutal murder. Just hypothetically speaking on that.
Fine. I will amend my earlier statement. The murder was obviously rushed and sloppy. He didn't put much forethought into this at all.
As I admit, I don't see any evidence. On the contrary. I think I need to present the chat log on the first thing.
Take that!
Well, what do you think of this? There's no possible way that Tagore couldn't have been one kill the victim. You say this all the conviction of a TV lawyer about to make a really big discovery in the case.
I really hope you've got something to back this up.
Of course, you got the chat logs between Tagore and Tagore. It clearly shows the two of them engaged in a conversation that would have made it hard to split time during the murder.
Objection!
You have some kind of evidence to actually support this baseless speculation?
The vital track evidence. Boom! Gallic just stands there, stunned. His mouth is opening and closing, and for once, he's actually speechless.
There. Are you satisfied I didn't fucking kill anyone? I swear to Empress, you're the worst sometimes.
Well, this was a massive waste of time. Can we actually try to figure out why there's a dead body in your airlock?
You're inclined to agree with Tizers on this one, and pretty interested in knowing why there's a dead body there, and perhaps who caused it to be there, especially if that person's still around to, kill again.
A little more dramatic than I would have put it, but basically yes.
You're still watching Gallic's face when something clicks behind his eyes, something that you're not taking,
Wait a minute. The logs cleared Gorgor of any involvement in this.
Oh, so it's Gorgor again now.
But you...
He's looking right at Tezra's hand, staying inside his coat pocket again.
Of course. It was the perfect opportunity. While Gorgor was distracted, you made your move. I don't know what your endgame was, but you let yourself slip on this one.
What the fuck are you talking about? Are you seriously accusing me now?
You quickly jump in between Gallic and Tizra and you throw your hands. Wait, this looks back, you guess? Honestly, you're not really following Gallic's logic anymore on this, but doesn't he want to find out what actually happened? Gallic relaxes a bit, which is probably a good sign.
Fine. I'll give you a chance to make your case. If for no other reason than to properly follow Imperial law.
Yeah, exactly that. You're a huge fan of Imperial law. Probably one of your top... Well, makes it to your top 10 list easily. Love that Imperial law.
Stop overselling it. Come see me as soon as you can.
Okay, so this is bad. Tizer's been locked up in the quarters now, and I'm pretty sure that Gallic's out for blood now. Tear-colored blood specifically, which means that you're the only a little bit while to figure out how to convince him that Tizer is innocent. You'd be the first to admit that you weren't expecting things to turn into such a complete nightmare when you went to go back. First the thing with Scratch and your powers, now your friend's being accused of murder left and right. But there's one thing you have to going for you, and that no one can touch: your powerful, unwarranted, completely unearned sense of optimism. Which you have to admit is not really a whole lot of help, but you really need something to cling to right now, which you'll need to go talk to Teaser and see if you can help figure this out. I'm actually going to go quickly, just so... See anything, grab tube, will forward let you scope immediately. High blood, you have options for your Imperial service, do not have option where you not be served. Broadcast schedule has been updated, check my grab tube for additional details. Too much speech is a bad thing, leads to unpleasant outcomes. I'll be touring satellite 572A. If any questions about procedure, if you have issues in terms of equipment, feel free to reach out to your code, that will be understanding. My job, Imperial social media policy still apply to you. Anything you say can be used against you. So this is Ardia, Captain of the Imperial Field Propagation. All opinions are sanctioned by a town government. As long as the conditions which breed rebellion exist, then rebellions that will break the revolutionary spirit, and then the conditions will cease to exist, rebellion or die. I am Imperial Purchase. Trending on Terra, Invasion of One, turn supporting aliens back. Tesseract. Wait. So, tension, Imperial Administrative Sector, no, discard, rules, summary, cuddly. Intelligence affairs to capture the brown bloods and Tesseract, presumed armed and dangerous, high alert. Elements of key positions within the logic codes remain vigilant. Thinking about they said lately, demons open. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I'll kind of just go through loosely if just want to see what they say. Right, yeah. So nothing really that interesting. Okay, so let's talk to guest dress block. You open the door and you're already not getting a great feeling here. Tezra sitting on the couch, lounge playing guest. She's got her head down in hands, obviously been crying recently. Not really thinking if a hey buddy would be appropriate here, so you knock softly on the doorframe. Tezra's looking up and wipes her face.
What is it? Why can't you just leave me alone?
Now you don't understand. You're here to help her. You're really quite good at helping, and she's laughing.
Really? This is your idea of helping?
You point out that you don't think you being here has anything to do with the murder. If anything, she's be even more skewed if it weren't for you.
If you weren't here, Gorgor would have been spaced over something he didn't do. Which sucks.
The unspoken but is hanging out there. It sucks, but she wouldn't be facing immediate execution.
Yeah, exactly.
She sighs and heavily and leans forward again. Once again, you're struck by just how unprepared you were for any of this. You were kind of expecting a victory lap, but given a couple inspiring speeches, sing a few songs perhaps.
Songs? What the fuck?
Oh shit, you're talking out loud again. That mind. Point being, you know how to roll with the punches. Treasure shrugs and looks away. So why is she being so evasive?
Evasive? Really? You think my unwillingness to talk to a near stranger who's jumped in to make wild promises about saving me is evasive?
Well, no, that's not really fair. You need each other. You're friends. Practically else. Treasure eyes burn white hot with a barely concealed rage.
Don't you dare say something like that. I have a Moirail, and she's worth more on her worst day than you'll ever be on your best.
Okay, ouch, that stings a little bit. Besides, you're practically introduced them to each other.
So, should I be grateful because you did one good thing for me before you vanished?
She sighs and her shoulders slump.
You know what? It doesn't matter. I always got a weird feeling about you anyway, so this isn't really a big surprise.
You're not really sure how to respond to that. It's mostly because you know she's got a point. You make promises to people both explicitly and by choosing to share your time with them. You opened up and let them into your world, and then you shut them all down. You really don't think you should be pushing this with Tezra. You don't think you've earned this right. So she didn't do it, right? Tezra fixes you with a particular kind of glare, the kind of glare that suggests you shouldn't know better than to even ask the question.
Why would I do that?
You should. Can't think of a reason, but it seems like a lot's changed in the last few years, sweeps, whatever. You don't remember Gallic being so willing to kill people the last time you met him.
I wouldn't know. I only met him recently, in a professional capacity.
Neat, but also you notice that she's not actually answering the question, says Arclays again.
No, I didn't fucking kill anyone. Although, if you keep acting like this, I might have to change that.
The rest of the raccoon sits in the corner, characteristically full of slime that seems to glow slightly. Honestly, the times you've been in one of those, it's actually quite soothing. The slime's tended to get on you and you hate how that feels. Unfortunately, a nice shower can. Weird, there doesn't seem to be a shower anywhere in the room. In fact, you're pretty sure you only noticed one shower the entire time on the ship. Just test her about what this deal with it that is. For some reason it feels important to this. Let me look around first. Looking through the nightstand, you find a book of notes written in an almost comprehensive handwriting. Looks like there might be case notes about something. Investigation reports? No, I'm just not even sure. The desk is full of a bunch of teal-colored makeup and a few books shuffled in the drawers. There's some popular novels along with a thick tome on the Italian equivalent of jurisprudence, a subject which seems to evolve a lot more being eaten by monsters than you typically understand the term to imply. So, why is there a shower
A
here?
what?
Shower to wait to wash yourself off. You notice that there's repercunes, but there doesn't seem to wait to clean yourself off. That seems messy.
Oh, an ablution block. There's one in the master respite block. For the fucking high blood and his kismesis. Not us, though. Not the fucking peasants. It's fine. The slime runs off into the trap next to the raccoon.
So it must kind of suck having to go so long without bathing, right?
Ugh, tell me about it. I miss just being in the hot water. It's relaxing.
Yeah, not being able to take showers sucks. You wouldn't even be able to wash yourself off if you got all sweaty or dirty or something.
You know me. Always getting all sweaty.
Okay, you think that's probably it. Sex joke, moving on. her notes?
You really just think you can poke around in other people's things, don't you?
In this game, yes. Well, you see, the thing about this is, yeah, you do kind of think you do that.
That doesn't surprise me very much, actually. You don't need to worry about those notes anyway.
Are you sure? But that's ridiculous. They could be the key to cracking this whole case.
You think that the key to this whole thing rests on some random notes? You don't think that maybe you can use your own logic to figure stuff out?
Well, yes, so, but you're pretty sure you need this one specific item to make it fit all together. Maybe even something specific from the previous game in the series, if you're being honest.
That is possibly the silliest thing I've ever heard.
So, let's see here. Notes. Coffee notes that you can't read, notebook, dog-eared, pages covered in coffee stains. Tizer's handwriting, these are her notes, who knows, maybe some kind of case file. Don't matter, but you're not sure if you believe her. Yeah, there's no way to shower. So let's go to the airlock. Solo's standing in the middle of the airlock looking around when you arrive. Of course, no one has bothered to move the body yet. You guess that's probably a good thing, though. The ship doesn't exactly seem like it's a fully functional medical exam or office on board.
Oh, hello there. I'm sorry that we had to meet each other again in such strange circumstances. Otherwise, I would have been quite happy to catch up.
You tell Salsa that the feeling's mutual. You miss chatting with her too. Even miss working out together, although you admit that maybe that wasn't your best quality.
Well, we can't all be perfect.
She frowns and asks what's on her mind. Is it relating to the dead body that's sitting there in front of her? You're betting it's probably not the dead body.
You could say that.
That is us. Salsa groans and presses her fingers to the bridge of her nose.
Oh, Zizi. I always thought that you'd end up working yourself to death. All those long hours spent studying for the cruelest bar, or preparing for work, or whatever it was you were always off doing on your own.
Wait, was that last bit? Salsa shrugs and looks away.
I don't know. Zizi was always out at odd hours doing something she refused to talk about.
Well, yeah, Salsa always did strike you as a worry. You get it. You're somewhat constantly consumed by anxiety yourself.
Well, I don't know about all that. But I do know that my mate Sprit is in a lot of trouble right now. I don't...
She's starting to cry. Oh, jeez, what are you supposed to do? You can't imagine a couple scenarios more awkward than this. But not many.
I need you to help her. Whatever happened here, I know she didn't do anything. She was with me the whole time this horrible thing happened.
Does she have any advice?
Honestly, I'm not sure. Tizius was the one who had investigative training.
Yeah, you're never really all that clear on what exactly the two of them did beyond some sort of somewhat on the nose stand-in for the legal and or criminal justice system in general.
I work with paperwork. We rarely see dead bodies in the auditory department.
You notice that she said rarely and not never, huh?
But I think if Tizius were here, she'd say that you should carefully examine the body. Maybe something will stand out.
Okay, so let's investigate the board. It's probably not time for this yet. You focus on figuring it. You have no idea what this means, but it feels like important later. More blood, pretty sure it means something. Focus, clear name first. Seems like something you check later. Look around. Oh, well, it doesn't actually seem important. It's probably important later. See yourself for an extremely unpleasant task of checking the body closer. Hey, this isn't the first time you had to deal with blood or a dead body. Dead bodies are basically just an untearing way of life or death. Swallowing that bite that's coming up through your throat, you carefully check the body. It's a troll wearing a spacesuit and some kind. Judging by the colors of the blood, it's slowly everywhere. There once a bronze blood. Now, this is really a lot of blood. Looks like it just got started from a large gash in the neck of the suit and just got everywhere. You struggle down another wave from fresh blood, not really wanting to throw up in front of Salsa. It looks like the blood sprayed all over the place. Wherever it happened here, it was messy. Looking up, you notice that there's a strange pattern of blood splatters leading all the way up to the airlock. It definitely seems like an important thing to check out too. So... yeah, so... let's see, so Salsa's basically just saying, hey, she didn't do anything, she's innocent, blah 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 blah. Bum suits. There's a whole bunch of blood everywhere. Strongly suggests the neck was sliced by something sharp. Let's see, no. Yeah. Blood splatters. Blood on the body itself, there's copious amounts of blood nearby, like lots of it. So much you can't imagine how the killer could have avoided getting some on themselves. Okay. So how about the observation deck? Tagore is staying intently by the window when you arrive on the observation deck. You notice that Gallagher is nowhere to be found.
He's up on the bridge if you really need to talk to him.
From Tagore's tone, you suspect he doesn't really want to talk to him right now.
An astute observation. What gave it away? The part where he threatened to shoot me, or the part where he put me on trial for murder?
Yeah, you can see how that he might put a bit of damp on the relationship, but Tagore shrugs.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'll let him stew in it for a while, and then we'll be fine.
You're still struggling to understand how the whole keys missing thing works, but that doesn't really seem like a healthy dynamic. Tagore shrugs.
Well, that's your problem, not mine.
So about him and Tezos.
What about us? I thought I already explained that.
Well, sure, but is there anything else he knows? Anything that you might, I don't know, you help clear Tagore of murder? Tagore looks you dead in the eyes and shrugs.
I don't really know, and I don't really care. She got herself caught up in all of this.
Because of him, if she hadn't been out talking to him, then she would never have been in the position to look like she got.
Not really my problem. Sorry.
So does he have any advice?
Are you prepared to pay for my time?
Wait, what is he talking about? You just defended him just now. You kept him from getting killed. Tagore doesn't look particularly swayed by this argument.
I should point out that I never closed out our billing before. You've been paying my hourly rate for the past 2 sweeps and 6 parages.
What? You never agreed to that. There's no possible way that you could afford that kind of bill in the first place.
Oh well. You'll be hearing from my legislacerator soon, I imagine.
Guess let's go to the bridge. Gallagher doesn't look amused right now. As a matter of fact, he looks impatient and angry.
I do hope that you've been expedient in conducting your investigation. I have reasons to move this process along.
Specifically my own personal survival. As much as I admit it, I may have let the very individual sought to my death to my ship on my own accord. A matter I am very struggling with, trust me.
But, if you have any questions that may help you resolve this matter, I would be happy to answer them.
Doesn't he feel bad about accusing Tagore?
I mean, a little bit, yes. But I'm confident that I made the right decision at the time.
But he almost got his Christmases over a little something that Tagore didn't actually do. Doesn't feel like a little effed up?
I suppose it does feel, to borrow your phrase, a little bit fucked up. But what am I supposed to do, exactly? Simply let my enemies cause chaos?
Borrow your phrase, it's boorish but appropriate. Enemies cause chaos. Enemies in this case referring to the nebulous concept of various threats. You wisely decide that answering the question would probably be a bad idea. Instead, you carefully sidestep into a related one. Isn't he worried that Tagore won't forgive him for this?
Kismicitude is built on a back-and-forth tension. This is just another part of that in the end.
That feels wrong somehow. Like you're saying all this, but he doesn't really believe it. As soon as you're down to push a little bit further, Gallic shuts you down.
I've said all that there is to say on this matter at the time. I would appreciate you not continuing to try to extract personal information from me.
You really think she did it?
I fail to see a convincing logical alternative. There were 2 people in the area while the murder took place. One of them is now accounted for, thanks to your diligence. The other, not so much. The logical conclusion is inescapable. Tisius N. Tick is a murderer.
Inescapable. I pride myself in being quite adept at these sorts of deductions, and I've taken painstakingly care not to base my reasoning on faulty logic or assumptions. So, murderer, you might not like to hear that your friend was responsible, but the evidence is undeniable. Then why even humor on this whole trial thing? If you're so sure, why not just kill her? Maybe it's because there's a seed of doubt just crept in.
Or, perhaps I simply wish to see the process followed as it should be. If we descend into lawlessness, what good are we?
You feel like you have some choice words about the role that Interstellar Empire has when it comes to weaponizing the concept of law against its enemies, but you suspect that Gallic isn't really in the mood to hear you out. He doesn't really seem to be investigating anything. Gallic glares at you, but doesn't stop until you finally nervously break out.
And what would you know about the delicate process of investigating such a serious matter?
Well, basically nothing, but that's kind of the point. Isn't Gallic supposed to be doing that?
Why? This is my ship, and those on it fall under my protection and my jurisdiction. It is my sole duty to bring the murderer to justice, and I already have her in custody.
My ship, well entrusted to me by the Imperial Empire from a use as benefit my duty to the Empire, but the specifics aren't overly important here. Jurisdiction, basically I'm responsible for the ship and everyone on it, full stop. To justice. Justice in this case referring to the kind that is both swift and final. You don't think that line of questioning is going to actually get you anywhere. Gallic seems pretty set on the whole justice thing right now, and that reminds you that someone else you had particularly lethal conception of with the weapons. So yeah, not great generally speaking. I talked to Stella, she's worried about her. Tessera looks at a long sign shifts in place, turning away from you. With your amazing power of friend observation, you notice that perhaps she's feeling uncomfortable about something.
Really? Is that your big takeaway here?
Yeah? Oh heck, you said that part out loud.
Look, I don't want her to worry.
Tell Tessera that you think the whole about to be executed for a crime she didn't commit thing might have a lot to do with why Celsa's worried about her. She clearly loves Tessera's a lot to do with why Celsa is worried about her. She clearly loves Tessera a whole lot.
I know that! I know, okay? I know she loves me, and I know what I'm doing is dangerous.
Wait, what is she doing? Tessera looks around the room and sips slightly.
You're not allowed to tell anyone. Do you understand?
You nod frantically. If nothing else, you can keep your friend's secrets. Get all that kind of neat secret stuff running around inside your brain right now.
Okay, great. Well, the truth is, I haven't been telling Stelsa about everything.
Oh no, is she cheating on Celsa? Is this some kind of complex quadrangle with another woman?
What? No, why would I ever do that? I've been in touch with the rebels for over a sweep now.
Oh, honestly, that's significantly worse in a lot of ways. Why couldn't you just been relationship drama?
Yeah, well, you introduced me to my Moirail, and one thing kind of led to another. I ended up talking to some of the rebels, sending them information.
Oh no, and Celsa doesn't know.
I think she suspects something, but she doesn't know what. I'm less worried about my mate Sprit and more worried about Gallic. You know he's Alternian intelligence, right?
You seem to remember Celsa mentioning that at some point.
Well, that's where I'm at. Unless you can pretty definitively prove I didn't kill anyone, I'm basically dead.
Alternian intelligence server?
Yeah, the Empress's spy masters. You think the Legislacerators are bad? Imagine that, but turned all the way up and break the knob off.
You have to admit, that does sound bad, but Gallic had seemed like such a chill guy when you last met him. Kind of stuffy, but overall pretty okay with aliens and whatnot. After all, wasn't a directive issued for your capture or something like that?
Aliens? Sure, he's fine with that. As long as you aren't a threat to the Empire. If you are, then, well, look at me.
Oh, yeah, but how did you get like this?
I don't fucking know, I'm not his goddamn Moirail.
And gather enough evidence to prove your case to Gallic. Click on the Start Trial option to begin. Start Trial. You look over to Tesseract nervously, and she's been avoiding eye contact with you, and so she sighs heavily and shuffles her feet.
We will now begin the trial of Legislacerator Tisius Entic. If you cannot produce evidence that Miss Entic is innocent of the charges brought against her, the penalty is immediate execution.
You swallow heavily and wait for him to begin.
I believe that I've been quite clear in the matter. There is nothing that exonerates Legislacerator Entic. She is clearly and unequivocally the murderer here. She had both the means and the motive to kill, so she clearly did.
Well, this is certainly a sticky situation you found yourself in.
Why is Sakura here again? You look over and narrow your eyes. not entirely sure that Tigger is exactly the kind of person you want on your side for this one. What happened with Salsa?
Oh, she's quite distraught over the impending execution of her mate's Brett. Really not in any shape to help anyone right now.
Tigger shrugs and grins, and you think that's right. That right now he's just happy to not be there.
I won't even charge you extra for this.
Oh, how incredibly generous of him. You struggle to even comprehend the depths of his generosity or even the sarcasm of your previous statements. You glance up at Tezro, but she only shrugs her shoulders and looks away. You really wish she was the one trying to help you. Wait, what did she say before? There's something up about what you're saying. What was it? Nothing.
Objection!
Aha, you confidently point to Dirk Gallic. There's more to that. Isn't that completely backwards? Why does he need to prove that Tezra didn't commit the murder? Why is it that the default is this?
Actually, it's pretty standard to assume guilt in the Alternian legal system.
As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing that shows that she was doing anything else at the time. Is that sufficient proof for you?
Well, no, not really. But you suppose that that's how we're gonna get.
Well, I do not technically have proof that she committed this crime. I don't have any idea what she was doing when the murder was committed. Highly suspicious if you ask me.
Let's see here. I'm gonna press
Objection!
so yeah, I don't need to. No one else.
Simple process of elimination. My own staff are tracked throughout the ship using their integrated biomonitoring devices.
See the vital track record as an example.
Your previous work has eliminated Tagore as a suspect. An audit terrorizer says Yat was in her quarters according to the thermal alert systems installed in the cabins.
Okay, that's more than a little bit creepy. You don't want to say anything to Gatlick, but you think that he's taking the whole thing way too far.
There is no one else on board who could possibly be the murderer.
Needs a motive to kill, so she could be dead.
Objection!
I can't fully know. What possibly kill anyone? It makes absolutely no sense you would just randomly decide to murder someone.
I do not pretend to understand the way that she thinks. The fact remains that no one else was nearby when the murder was committed, and therefore, she is left as the only suspect.
Per the bio track.
Regardless of her motives, she was clearly...
Yeah, she's clearly in the vicinity. So I think it's... Okay, no one on board. No, I don't think it's that. Definitely not the statements. I think... Let's see. No one else on board. Evidence, I'm gonna say still statements.
Take that!
For vicinity. You wind up your hand and point dramatically, just to show how sure you are this evidence will prove it saying is true.
Oh? I'm listening, of course. I welcome any opportunity to engage in a lively bout of discourse.
I really hope this is good.
See, you got solid proof. You know for a fact that Tesaurus was still the whole time.
The area's thermal sensors seem to suggest otherwise. I will add the pertinent log to your evidence file.
Well, the heck with thermal sensors. You know, you got something even better. You got eyewitness testimony. Ah, yes. Notoriously reliable, infallible eyewitness testimony.
Fine. I'll indulge this for a moment longer. Let us call audit terrorizer Stelsa Seziat to the stand.
Stelsa shifts nervously on the stand, and she keeps glancing over at Tesaurus, and you can see how the look at her pleading on her face. It's obvious how she doesn't want to be here, and you really can't blame her. I just love her cute little shirt. It's adorable. You wouldn't want to be in her position either.
Very well. The persecution will now hear the testimony of witness Stelsa Seziat, audit terrorizer first class. You may begin whenever you are ready.
Okay, you're calling Setsu here because she has key evidence in this case. Specifically, she knows that Tesaurus couldn't possibly have committed the murder, right?
That is completely correct. There's no possible way that Tisius could have murdered anyone. After all, she was with me the entire time, in our respite block. Besides, you know that she was just talking to Tagora the whole time. I think I'd know if my own matesprit was going around plotting murders after all.
Well, this is certainly interesting.
God, please stop trying to help Sorgor.
Tagora shakes its head indigently and glares at Tisius, then turns
You see the kind of environment I'm forced to work in? Some people simply don't appreciate the help I'm trying to provide.
Tagora sighs and looks up at Salsa, and for a brief moment there's a eye contact between them and look a bitter sadness.
It doesn't matter.
Let's see here, so... .420 subjects confirm. Subject exit. Subject enter. Press on the who's been with me the entire time. But isn't there something Stella's forgetting? If Tessa was with her the time, then there's no possible way she can be killing. It's obvious.
Actually, now that you mention it, Zizi did have to step out for a bit.
Which is consistent with the thermal scanners I have installed in the respite blocks.
Okay, so she stepped out of the room for a little while to talk to someone. But how could she have murdered anyone in that time? You don't believe she actually killed someone?
Possibly I'll do the first thing. Wait, isn't there something forgetting? Why is he sure Tizeret never murdered anyone? Wait, that makes it sound like you don't believe her. Heck, let's check that from the
Idiot! You can't just do that.
Well, I just don't believe that my Zizi could do such a thing. I don't see how my own matesprit could have murdered anyone. That's not the Tisius that I know and love.
Besides, you know she was talking to Goro the whole time. Press. Objection! Wait, since from the beginning, you have logs to prove to you that Tizeret was talking to the Goro the whole time.
Logs which leave a large window of time open where Tisius could easily have snuck out, murdered the victim, and then returned without anyone being the wiser.
Oh, yeah.
This is a waste of everyone's time. I believe that the facts speak for themselves and they tell a story that is distinctly unflattering to Miss Tick. I think it would be best to simply wrap this up so we can all go on about our lives. Except for Miss Tick, who will, of course, be executed immediately.
Alex sighs heavily, motions for cells to get off a makeshift witness stand.
As it stands, there are a number of quite simple facts in this case, all of which are indisputable with any kind of evidence. Number 1. Miss Tick has no solid alibi for the time of the murder, given that her only defense is the unreliable testimony of her matesprit. Number 2. Miss Tick had more than enough time to commit a brutal murder. Number 3. As previously stated, there is no possible evidence that Miss Tick was not the murderer. All signs point to her being there in the airlock, killing without remorse.
It's the blood splatters.
He's right.
Sarah Tizeret, what the heck is she talking about? You know that she didn't randomly murder someone. She's a lot of things, but killer isn't one of them.
How do you know? Maybe I've changed more than you think in the last few sweeps.
She sighs and shakes her head. You don't know what you're supposed to even say to her. You really got a sense that this is a lot heavier than you used to before, but this is diving right down to pressing.
If you've got some secret trick up your oversized hoodie sleeve, now would be the time to use it.
So I'm going to press on the number 3 statements.
Objection!
Because Astronomy, there's been long enough. You can't imagine Tessa doing something like that.
Oh? It disturbs you to think of it? To imagine your friend covered in the blood and viscera of her crime? To smile at what she did in return with no one the wiser, having no sign of her deeds? To try and pin all of it on my beloved Kismesis?
Oh, Empress, he's laying it on thick.
I have bad news for you. Sometimes the people we believe are the most trustworthy are the ones we have to watch the most closely. Sometimes, the only ones we can trust are ourselves. Number 3. It is obvious that Miss Entik entered the airlock, brutally slashed the throat of a maintenance worker, and left their bloody body to send a message to me.
Evidence. There's, no absolution block. Take that! You got something you think Gallic really needs to take a look at?
Well, what is it? This had better be good. My patience is growing extremely limited.
Isn't it strange that there's no way to clean the blood off?
What in the world are you talking about?
No way to clean the blood off, after all.
Objection!
So what? What possible relevance does that have to anything? You make these claims, but you don't connect them to anything.
Well, it's a good thing that wasn't your only piece of evidence. The blood spatters. Go! You say directly Gallic. There's something that he hasn't considered about. How did Tezzeret clean the blood off? Out of the corner of your eye, you can see Tezzeret lift her head up. Gallic stares at you.
What do you mean?
Whoa, the body and the airlock had blood all over the place. You very distinctly remember lots and lots and lots of blood.
So what? She obviously washed herself off before she was discovered. She had plenty of time to do it.
Of course, but how? You see the recognition dawning on Gallic's face.
Of course. The only ablution chamber is in my own respite block.
Gallic's mouth hangs open and he stares at you. You felt that this is probably the first time in a while he's felt this stupid. Across the room, Tezrick starts to laugh.
Oh my god!
She bursts out laughing.
You're right! Stultz was so annoyed that we couldn't wash off, but... Looks like I'm in the clear, Gallic. Unless you think I magically made the blood disappear.
You're right. If you had killed the individual in question, there would have been an overwhelming amount of blood. And yet you remain spotless.
He sighs heavily.
Legis Lacerator and Tick, I believe I owe you an apology.
Tezzeret and Stella spent at least 10 minutes holding each other, and Tezzeret reassuring Stella that over and over that she's in fact completely okay. Nothing like your impending execution to get the blood flowing and all that. Once they leave, followed by Tagora, Gallic finally comes over to you, his face deadly serious. Nephew is worried that you'll be the next person he decides is guilty.
I believe I owe you an apology as well. You see, as a member of the intelligence service, I'm under a lot of pressure. Almost constant pressure, as a matter of fact.
Apology, I'm sorry. Intelligence service, previously discussed. It's not something I can talk much about, but I'm certainly able to acknowledge it. Pressure's perhaps too light a word, but I'm having trouble thinking of an alternative at the moment. And matter of fact, I'm expected to effectively neutralize the Empress's many enemies are facing severe consequences. Well, that's all good, but he almost killed his own kisses, not to mention two Zeus. Gallic doesn't seem overly concerned by this, but he waves his hand and shrugs.
A completely logical misunderstanding. The matter leaves a large, unanswered question.
A large, unanswered question. My headphones got unplugged a second there.
Namely, who killed my maintenance worker, and why? I'm convinced that I was either the intended target, or that eliminating the victim somehow facilitated getting close enough to me to strike. I need to ask you a favor, as the only true outsider on this ship.
Sure, you're a little bit put off by the fact that Gallic just tried to kill two of your friends based on some pretty flimsy evidence, but you're willing to let bygones be bygones. You guess that the addition to sweet, sweet friendship is still going part of you.
I need you to find the identity of the killer and uncover the truth of what happened.
Oh, well, crap, that's a lot to take in.
I know, I'm asking a lot of you, but this is important, and I can offer substantial rewards.
Oh, asking a lot. I wouldn't ask if it was important. Substantial rewards, I can probably get the Imperial watch list if I have reclassified you as a partly intelligence lusus. If you want to play it smooth here to make sure that Gallic knows that's the same way he's been acting so far as flying, it's not even in the same universe anymore. Of course, that mostly comes out as non-committal ground, followed by immediate agreements. Gallic apparently thinks that this is more than enough to get started, because he nods back, smiles, and immediately leaves. Great. What the heck are you supposed to do now? And right now, I'm going to save this game here. and go back to the main menu. And with that, I hope you guys have a good day, night, week, month of your lives, and may the stars forever guide your path, wherever it might lead you into the future. Goodbye, everybody.